Welcome to the InnerTuning podcast. My name is Richard Matisaw. This podcast focuses on the life stories, teachings, and sounds of Sri Shyamji, the founder of the Chakra Institute, author of the book Microchakras, and creator of the InnerTuning system for sustainable spiritual and psychological growth. To learn more about Sri Shyamji, three-body purifications, and other workshops, visit chakrainstitute.com. In this episode, we're going to talk about the path to enlightenment, how microchakras correlate to enlightenment, saboteurs and champions in the microchakras, purifying Apana Prana, the origin and purpose of three-body purifications, and at the end, Sri Shyamji is going to share a chant for ego refinement. So let's jump right in. Sri Shyamji, how would you explain the word enlightenment to somebody?
I would just explain the word for what it really means. Enlightenment means that you realize that you are a light. Creation took place with light. Whether you believe that the light was caused by a sound, or you believe that it was caused by someone just exploded, something that just exploded and the light came out. It doesn't matter what denomination, whether you believe in religions or philosophies or astronomy, or they are all heading towards the same goal actually, is to realize our own origin. Our origin is, let's say that you believe a supernova star exploded. When it exploded, it created stardust, gases, so on. So our bodies are basically made up of the stardust. And stardust is the same dust as when you grind a diamond, and the dust that just falls is shiny particles of diamond. So even at the physical level, we are the light from the stars. Okay. Now there are other minds we have that we must discover in this life that will tell us how to reach that understanding and experience that we are a light. So what we do is we look at our subtle body, which we can learn about from our ancient sages who discovered it first. Even though we use it every day, every feeling you have ever had is coming to you from your subtle body. Physical body has no feelings. Physical is a tissue. There are 70 to 100 trillion cells in different combinations making up different parts of the body. None of them have a feeling. They do have a sensation because of the nerves. There is a sensation of pleasure or of pain. That is not a feeling. It is a sensation. The doctor numbs your nerve and then you don't have that pain. So, physical body does not have feelings. Feelings come to us from our own subtle body. And our own subtle body is connected with the subtle universe, which now the scientists are suspecting that there is a parallel universe. Wait till they find that. They're going to find another one after that. Because we also have a causal body. Causal body is where our thoughts come to us. Our brain receives the thoughts, does not produce the thoughts. But in the absence of having a concept of the subtle bodies, we give the credit to the brain for producing thoughts. Brain reacts to the thoughts when they come. When an invention comes to you, when the idea of telephone came to Mr. Bell, idea came from outside. A poem comes to us from the outside. We receive it. Our brain is a recipient, not a producer. Our brain is not the subject. When you understand these three different beings that are shining, you realize that you truly are a light. And you can systematically study that in the Microchakra book. Because the first chakra mind, for example, each chakra then creates a mind of its own, a desiring agent. Mind is a desiring agent. It desires something, then rational mind takes over and it goes out and gets what it needs to become content. When all your 7 chakra minds are content and the light is being absorbed and each chakra mind is functioning with a particular hue of light. So there's a whole spectrum of light. Not only that, there's a whole octave of sounds. Sounds and colors, they are complementary. Left brain and right brain are complementary. We live in one song. One song. Universe. We are a light. Sooner we realize it, sooner we put an end to the suffering.
So picking up on that, we are light. The way I understand it is light is everywhere, sort of like the sun. The chakras are light that is omnipresent and not obstructed. The microchakras are essentially those conduits between the physical experience and that light, and the blockages in the microchakras are preventing certain aspects of light to directly impact our physical experience. Enlightenment means all those microchakras are open so that that light that's always there is coming through fully, and we are experiencing the full light that we are. So my question is, can any human being be enlightened?
Yes. Buddha was, at least in this present known history. In other yugas there have been other avatars, we call them, incarnations, such as Sri Rama in the Treta Yuga, Sri Krishna in the Dwapar Yuga, and in Kali Yuga you have had Gautama Buddha, Shankaracharya in the same century. Shankaracharya, who was not noticed very much because the history was written by the British historians, History of India. I was a student of history and I gave up on it because it's a bunch of not correct information. Shankaracharya, he was one of the most enlightened people that India has produced. Buddha got more attention, so therefore he was internationally known. Shankaracharya was not internationally known. He was known to the genuine seekers of India, and they still are. There's only one sect of Swamis called Dandi, D-A-N-D-I. They are the true followers of Shuddha Shankara, it's called, Vedanta. Shuddha Shankara Vedanta. So popularly known as Shankara, S-H-A-N-K-R-A, Sri Shankara.
Before we go on from here, do you have an opinion on Jesus Christ, whether he was enlightened?
My opinion about Jesus Christ is that he was a great saint, had to go through a lot of suffering to realize that it was unnecessary to suffer, and finally that dictum came to him, which is that I and my Father are one. You see, the search for Father has been a classical problem for most people, because fathers have not really delivered their fatherly duties to their children. Raising of the children was left to the mothers. Fathers were too busy trying to bring in bread or fight. And children, they need paternal affection, they need maternal embrace, bosom. We are mammals. Mammals need to cling to their parents, like the monkeys do. Mother monkey can jump from one tree to another, and the little baby is holding on. We have a constant desire to be touched as babies, because we were surrounded by the warm water in a sack, always feeling perfect temperature. When we come out, temperature is drastically different. And what things that the babies have gone through in their memory banks, what has happened in a maternity ward, it is incredibly savage.
Did you want to talk about that more?
Well, I was continuing to say that many things we do to the babies without the baby's permission. That is something that is really unfair. Without knowing what the babies need, and the babies cannot express their desires, so we impose upon the babies certain things that we think the babies need. In fact, they really don't. And that's what I have emphasized in my book, Microchakras.
So going back to this idea of enlightenment, if, for example, Buddha as an example, if you were to do a microchakra chart of somebody like that, do you have a sense of what it would look like?
It will probably have 7 septagons in the left channel, both in Shankaracharya for sure. Buddha may be close to it. I personally think Shankaracharya was a far more enlightened being than Buddha was.
So if there are 7 septagons, meaning that all the microchakras on the left side are open, wouldn't that mean that, like, the physical experience, like, it'd be an avatar, there wouldn't be a physical presence? It would be another loka, or would that being still be in a physical body with 7 septagons?
In the physical body, one could detect the 7 septagons. The difference is that Shankaracharya was able to operate and enter into the 3 lokas, which is called the Bhuloka, the Bhuarloka, and the Swarloka, at will. Whereas Buddha, he was enlightened just in this lifetime, liberated from the 7 minds of the 7 chakras. Therefore, his 7 septagons might have been weaker. Maybe every microchakra was not fully open, because you can join into a diagram with the half open a microchakra. It can still make a diagram, but it's a little bit weaker than if it was a O, like for opening.
I see. So just since we're talking about the diagrams, can you explain this idea of the champion diagram and the saboteur diagram, please?
Yes. Let's talk about the saboteur diagrams, which are made up with the blockages that occur in the right channel. For example, if your 5th microchakra of the 6th is blocked in the right channel because of mishandling of the right side of the head during the birthing. It could be because of the forceps, it could be because of any pressure, vacuum pressure, I don't know. In each child it could be different. Then, not having made use of the proper sounds will cause the 5th microchakra of the 6th to become blocked. 5th microchakra of the 4th, if the baby is not properly breastfed, that will become blocked. Let's take another example, a fifth microchakra of the first. In the initial period of the baby, food habits were not up to the mark. It will become blocked. Now, if these three blocks will join, they will make a triangle. Now it's a full-fledged saboteur. You will have difficulty controlling your diet in your life. You will have difficulty with words, with the fifth microchakra of the fourth is your voice. You may not be able to sing. You may not be able to do things that require an expression of a feeling with a fluid, open heart. And then, of course, the fifth microchakra of the sixth will not allow you to absorb and retain the effect of the sound, which is called Surya Akasha. You will not be able to retain it too long. You can have a momentary experience when you hear a beautiful chant produced with the naada yoga principles. You will absorb the Surya Akasha as long as you have your eyes closed. And the moment you open your eyes, no layer of the effect of the Surya Akasha will stay too long. Even then, the fifth microchakra of the sixth, the fifth microchakra of the fourth, fifth microchakra of the first, in the left channel, can be opened. I have seen that in thousands of people. So, right channel blockages don't really mean anything if we can open on the left channel, because that's what really counts. Our mind has an ability to overcome anything that has happened in the first 3 years. It's just that it will take some effort. But if you truly love your baby, why would you subject the baby to the blockages at the first place? That's my point. That's why I wrote the book. So that children to appear, children to be born, can be protected from the savage customs that we have around the world, including in the maternity world.
I've heard you say in the past that Apana is the tonic of the saboteurs and Prana is what feeds the champions. Can you elaborate on that?
Yes. You see, when there is a saboteur, let's say that blockage of the fifth microchakra of the first, fourth and sixth example I gave, these saboteurs, they need to have a tonic to live on. So they want to create a strategy so that the Apana can get more and more strong, more and more polluted, so to speak. So they will cause you to be attracted to foods that disturb your Apana, Prana. For example, eating a pizza at midnight, that will disturb your Apana. Eating garbanzo beans at 10 o'clock at night. I mean, I'm giving you just a few examples that will disturb the Apana at the physical level. Now, your subtle body. Apana can affect the subtle body as well. If you have a toxic relation with somebody and you are continuing it, for whatever reasons, many reasons people have to continue a negative relation. Very wise people, but they're still victim of it. Creates toxicity. That toxic relationship disturbs the Apana in the subtle body. Finally, in your causal body, you can also disturb the Apana by undermining your own self, thinking negative thoughts, which you could stop. Only if the left channel will interfere that you will stop. Otherwise, these three minds are working so that you can produce enough Apana so that saboteur can survive. Contrary, In the left channel, prana is the fresh air, rejuvenating every cell of the body every second of the day and night, if your breathing habits are good. And this is what my teacher taught me. I used to be absolutely in pain. My father was a doctor and he couldn't help me. He had friends who were pulmonologists. They couldn't help me. It was a congenital problem. And congenital problems don't really go away. But pain that was caused by it was 80% relieved when my teacher taught me how to breathe and how to pronounce mantras properly and the rest of the sadhana that followed. That's why I'm so grateful to him. Being born with a double pneumonia was a blessing, because if I hadn't, I would have been like anybody else. I could have been a lawyer, doctor, engineer, school teacher, whatever, postman. But I took to this style of life because it gave me the survival tips, which turned out to be a gift, really. So the left channel openings are made with the fresh prana. All three bodies require that. A helpful relationship. You see somebody in the morning and you exchange a smile. If you're not exchanging it, not the right person to be living with. No matter who it is. Could be your brother, sister, neighbor, friend, lover, husband, wife, mother, father, whoever. In the final instance, one must follow the dharma. Dharma is the law, which is that you protect will protect you. If you protect yourself, the world will protect you. That's the definition of dharma. That which sustains, that which protects, that which preserves. We have been given this life so we can best preserve it. We have this planet. We should best preserve it. Any force that is not going to preserve it is a adharmic force. So you have to use your own brain, your own mind, to support that which protects, not destroys. Otherwise, the saboteurs are there too. They're doing their job. So there is a tug of war between the saboteurs and the champions. I wish your champions good health.
If the Apana feeds our habits that aren't serving us, how do we purify the Apana?
The way to keep the Apana purified at the physical level is to eat enough roughage every day, go to sleep early, so you can have a healthy bowel movement in the morning, in the first chakra hours preferably, not to have any toxic relations, and keep yourself inspired. No matter what it takes you, learn to keep a smile on your face. It'll be best if it comes naturally, and it will. If you follow the inner tuning system, it will. You'll have a smile on your face when you're asleep.
How have your retreats or your work with your students over the years progressed to the point where you do the 3 body purifications, which are 4 to 5 days, and focus on purifying the Apana and working with sound so that the openings for the champions can expand and the saboteurs can even be broken at times.
Yeah.
So my question is, how has your experience on how this work is most effective progressed over the years?
Mm-hmm. Well, you see, this whole thing started as a challenge. I had a friend in Washington He was a psychiatrist, and his daughter was really ill. He tried to send her every place you can possibly think of. She was anorexic, bulimic, 80 pounds, very pretty, but very, very disturbed. After everything he tried, then finally I made a microchakra chart, and I told him, I said, there has to be a way to help her Apana not disturb the higher chakra pranas that are pure. And I had to develop some ways to do that. So I tried Ayurvedic cleansing, it's called Shanka Parikshalan. Then I tried other things, herbology and things to cleanse the liver, the kidneys, and so on. But none of that really had a good impact or adequate impact. Finally, it dawned on me to have people come and live in one place so that I can regulate their time of going to sleep, time of their waking up, time for what I want to give them for breakfast. Sometimes different breakfast for different people, depending on their body type. And sometimes using some herbs and other herbs and so on. So over the years, and even today, I am still adding new things to the three-body purification process. And Richard, you will not believe the kind of attention I got from the psychiatrists, because their patients who were not reacting to the drugs, they were referred to me. And when they got better, and that was in 1980, I'm telling you. In 1980, I was invited to the 57th Congress of Orthomolecular Psychiatric Association in Toronto, Canada. It was a 5-day, 5 lectures. It was a wonderful experience for me, and I'm sure that many of the attendants learned something about the chakras and microchakras, and especially about the purification. I even wrote a little booklet called InnerTuning and distributed it to the audience. Still have a few copies left. This was just nothing short of a miracle. And I advised this purification to everybody without exception who has come to me. That has included some yogis and lamas and rabbis and you name it. And after one purification, their life changed. Then they wanted to come for another one. So much so that I have people now who have taken 40 plus purifications. Actually, this purification is not only for disturbed people. It's just like you send a car for tuning because you've been driving it. It needs filters to be changed. It needs tires to be rotated, oil to be changed, and so on and so on. Human body is much more complicated, especially 3 bodies, than a car is. So if we take care of our car so much, we must love our car more than we love our 3 bodies. That sounds very strange. I advise 3-body purification to everybody. You take it once, you will know the difference. Ideally, one should take it before every season, just like we treat our skin. Every season we change our clothes because we don't feel comfortable in the same winter clothes in the summer. We should change our food. Winter foods are different than summer foods. One has to really learn. And when you become sensitive to these things, you realize that, hey, sounds and colors, they also impact your 3 bodies. Today is Thursday. Jupiter. It's called Jupiter Day. Every Thursday, I try to eat yellow things. Why? Jupiter is yellow. It gives me yellow energy, yellow light, both through the skin, internally by eating it. Thinking of Jupiter, my 5th chakra mind is connected with the Jupiter. Stands for wisdom, teachings. It's a good day to be making this podcast.
You're actually offering 3-body purifications on Zoom and remotely for the first time. And I'm curious, from your experience, how is that working out? Is it benefiting people?
Well, it's benefiting people, but it's costing me 4 times more energy than it would have, and at 86, it makes a difference to me. People like it better in some ways, because when people are in a group, for example, in July I was supposed to be in Holland doing a purification for, 70, 80 people. They've signed up. We rent a whole hotel in the middle of a field. We had to cancel that trip. So now we are taking 20, 25 people online. And many people wrote to me and said, hey, we like it better because in our own home, when we repeat sounds after you, which is 50% of the purification process, they can open up their voice and just chant at the highest level they can. Whereas when you are sitting next to somebody, 70, 80 people in a big hall, you are a little bit restraining in your voice. And because the instructions are also given, please use the volume so that other people's voice doesn't die down in your volume. So everybody is a little bit conscious of how much of voice of their own they can use, with the result that the effect of sound is much more when you are chanting in your own living room, without any fear of being judged.
Well, that's good news for people that are listening that might want to try this workout from their own home. I know there's an upcoming 3-body purification this month, and they're happening very frequently. So I would encourage people that resonate with this work to go to the chakrainstitute.com and look at the schedule for upcoming 3-body purifications. It's only 4 or 5 days. And from my perspective, the way I share it with people I know is it's a good time to just put the ego on the side, because the ego is going to get assaulted in ways that your comfort zone doesn't really want to happen, but your spiritual evolution is craving, and your actual physical experience and your psychological state are also craving. And so it's really a way to experience the Apana coming down to where it belongs and experiencing the saboteurs losing their volume. And if that all sounds very woo-woo and theoretical, I challenge people that are interested in this kind of thing to go for it, because I know from my experience, I didn't want to get out of my comfort zone, and I'm still doing them because it feels so good. And my comfort zone has changed so dramatically from experiencing the Apana where it belongs for sustained periods of time, and not hearing those bad habits or feeling those bad habits and not hearing those saboteur voices like I used to. So hopefully some people that are listening can give this a try. To conclude today, Sri Shyamji, would you please share a chant with us with the principles of Naada Yoga so we can experience the effects of Surya Akash, which is the subject for our next episode?
I have one question for you before I chant, Richard. How many purifications have you taken?
I was trying to pinpoint it. I think it's between 9 and 11, so I'm going to say 10.
10. How about Marsha?
Oh, I stopped counting at 30, but I'd say it's between 30 and 40.
Okay, that's wonderful. Okay. Now the mantra I'm going to chant is called R-A-J-A, Raja, Ram, R-A-M. Ram, Ram, Raja, Ram, Rama, Ram, Raja, Ram, Hmm.